Hi Ruth, how are you today?
Pretty good, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We've had a couple of sessions, so this would be our third session, and this one will be a little bit same as the last. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, the last time I was here, you suggested that I try to remember what some of my nightmares or bad dreams were about, the things that woke me up. And I did get up after I had one and I remembered uh, the last one, the real bad one. I dreamt that my family was going on a trip someplace without me by plane, and I could vividly see the plane going down like it was about to crash, and I woke up before the plane crashed. I don't know what took place prior to them getting on the plane. I don't know where my family was going without me, but like at the tail end of the dream, I remember the plane. It's like it was nose diving to crash, and I woke up before the plane crashed.
Well, I want to understand how you feel about that.
That makes me sad. That makes me afraid. That makes me feel like there's a possibility of being alone without my family. Something like that were to happen. So yeah, that doesn't make me uh, feel very good at all. I feel somewhat. I feel good that I was able to remember it like you suggested and write it down, but it doesn't make me makes me real sad. And I'm afraid to lose my any of my loved ones, my husband, any of my kids. And that's one of my biggest fears.
So I'm hearing that it makes you very fearful and very sad
Yes,
to lose your family.
yes.
If you were to lose your family. What else is going on?
Still working on my credentials for my educational credentials. Like I mentioned to you before, I graduated with my bachelor's, and I'm just trying to get certified so that I can teach. I still haven't accepted the substitute job, although it's still there for me. And pretty much the same stuff that I've been going through since the last visit. I did take another walk, and I felt a little better after the walk, but I'm disappointed in myself because I don't do it consistently. You know, I like to walk every day because it does feel good when I do walk, but sometimes I just stay inside, study whatever I have to study, and just try to avoid as much contact as possible.
So I'm sensing that you're maybe a little bit upset with yourself for not being consistent with your exercise.
Yes, I would like to. Like I mentioned, you suggesting that nobody's really suggested getting out and walking much because they know that it's pretty much futile to try to encourage me to exercise because I don't like doing it. But when I did do it this couple times, well, this since our first visit I did it, and then I walked again this after the last visit, and I wanted to do it more, but it's just difficult motivating myself to get out and do what I know is best for me.
Tell me about your walk.
Well, I walked maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes in one direction. It was pretty difficult because I'm not in good shape. I'm overweight and I eat too much, which contributes to me being overweight. But I walked about 15 minutes. I stopped a couple times, turned around and headed back home. I mean, it felt good because I took some deep breaths like you encouraged me just in everyday life. But I took some deep breaths and I got a chance to walk and think a little bit about where I am and what I want to do. It felt good after I finished. Like I said, I planned on doing it again the next day, but the next day rolled around, I was back in the old funk.
I'm hearing you say that you did some thinking when you were on your walks.
nice. I thought about how good it felt to be outside and the fresh air. It was a beautiful day. It was sunny. Uh, wasn't too warm. It was pretty much a perfect day. It wasn't cloudy, and it was just nice to get out and to feel like I was exercising other than eating and doing something to hurt my body by overeating. It just felt good to do something that I thought was positive. And I felt proud of myself when I was doing it. But
I'm hearing you say that your walk was positive and that it made you feel good about yourself, that when you were doing it, you felt some motivation?
Yes, I felt, especially afterwards, I felt a little more energetic, and I didn't feel like eating as much as I would normally eat, around that time of the day. When I came back from the walk, I was a little thirsty, so I drank some water, and I felt refreshed, and I felt like it gave me some energy, and it was good until the next day. Like I said, I felt good about doing it, and I wanted to do it the next day, but I didn't. So, but it did feel good when I did it the 2 times that I did do it.
Self-discipline can be a tough thing and anything. You were a student, so maybe you might understand a little bit about that when it comes to homework and assignments and things. And maybe you may understand what I'm talking about, where when you do your assignments you feel better, and when you don't do your assignments you feel I know for me, I feel a little upset if I don't get done what I need to get done, and that doesn't motivate me to continue. The reason why I suggested the walks is for that reason. For all of the reasons that you discussed with me just a minute ago are the reasons that I encouraged you to maybe take a walk, because of the positivity that it brings, the motivation that it brings, the just getting out, getting some sunshine, and exercise. So those are the reasons that I suggested that, and maybe if you did, if we could get to where we did a little, maybe twice a week, you could feel that twice a week.
Yes, I'm trying. Hopefully, I'll get to that stage, but
I can see that you're trying.
I'm not planning on it. Just didn't happen. So I guess sometimes I tend to make excuses for not doing things, and I wait until it's late in the game, or put myself under a lot of pressure. So I don't know.
I'm hearing you say you're a little hard on yourself.
Of course, isn't everybody? Yeah, I think I may be a little more harder on myself than everybody, but there's some things I'd like to accomplish at this stage in my life, and I feel like it's going to take me forever to get there because of the way I feel about myself and just getting those things done. I don't know. I have my good days and my bad days. The day I walked was a good day. The next day that I didn't walk was a bad day. I try to figure it out with your help. If you'd like to continue to help me, but
I'd like to continue helping you help you. I'd like to continue, trying to work on the difference between good days and bad days. I'm a little unsure of what makes a good day or what makes a bad day. I don't really know what that looks like. Tell me a little bit about that.
The good days are when it's not as bad as the bad days. I mean, to me, it's like all of the days aren't what they should be, but when I do accomplish some things like schoolwork, like when I got my degree, like the few days when I took a walk, those were accomplishments. When I can uh, participate with my family and just not have the negative thoughts, the fearful thoughts about losing them. Uh, when those aren't consuming me, I guess the day is a little better. But for the most part, when those thoughts and those feelings are taking over, the days aren't so good.
I hear you saying that the things that you discussed with me that you want to do, like finish your task, whatever they may be with school or your family or yourself, your self care, going to take your walks, those all make you feel good. Those all seem to constitute good days for you. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
And I'm hearing you say when you talk about you're being hard on yourself, and I hear you saying when you're hard on yourself, it's when you don't do the things that make you feel good.
Yes.
And what I'd like to try and work on is the middle ground. What if not doing the things, that you aren't doing don't make you feel good, and doing the things that you truly want to do but don't feel you have the motivation to do. Those are the things that make you feel good. I'm not sure. Tell me a little bit about, not the bad days, the not doing the things that you set out for yourself.
Well, one thing I want to lose weight. I don't feel good about myself because of the amount of weight I have, and I make plans to not eat. I watch programs on television. I'll go online to get diets so that I can stick to these things, and I don't do it because when I feel bad, it feels good to eat. But when I eat and pick up weight, I feel bad. And me being overweight, after having 4 kids, I'm afraid that my husband doesn't find me attractive anymore. I don't think he finds me sexy. And I'm just concerned about how he looks at me and what he thinks about me, and not just him. I wonder what my kids think about me, what my classmates thought about me. It's just because of the way I look, I don't feel happy, and I try to do things to change the way I look, but I don't feel the motivation. And when I don't feel the motivation and I feel sad because I can't accomplish this, then I eat. And it's like I feel like a hamster on a wheel sometimes.
So let me understand you correctly. You eat when you don't feel good. You're eating when you don't feel good. When you eat, it makes you feel worse. And those feelings lead into feeling like your husband might not be attracted to you, and you don't like the way it makes you feel after you do it.
Yes. So I don't know what to do. I'm at a loss, and I don't know if everything is snowballing because of it, with the crying and the not wanting to do everything. Sometimes I just feel like I've given up because every time I try, like I said, just recently I walked, and the next day I had intentions. I intended to walk again, and I didn't. So one day was great. The next day back to the same, and the next day I ate instead of doing something that was healthy and positive for me, which would have been to walk and give myself energy and to make me feel excited about doing what I had to do to get healthy and to make myself look the way I think my husband would want me to look.
I'm sensing a little bit of anger.
Yeah, I'm angry with myself. That's without a doubt. Because I just feel like I'm not good enough. I try to be what I think I should be. Again, my husband, he doesn't complain. My kids don't really complain. again, I think our marriage is okay. I mean, as good as anybody else's marriage, but it was better when we were younger. But as we've gotten older and 4 kids, I think that uh, that's somewhat gotten in the way of what we used to have as a marriage. But yes, I'm angry. I would like things to be different, and I just feel powerless to change it. And I don't like the prospect of the amount of time that it's going to take to reverse where I am right now.
Let's talk about what you think about that, about reversing, where you are. I, what did you say? You think about the time it's going to take
Yes.
to reverse
Yes,
the exact
to lose
position
this amount
you
of
are.
weight, yeah, and to start feeling good about myself again.
Well, my grandma always say, you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Mm-hmm.
You just take some small steps and what do you think about that?
I think that makes sense, because I know that I didn't get here overnight, and I know to reverse it, to lose the weight, and I guess to start feeling good about myself and the way I look, and maybe that'll change all of the other things I have issues with. But I just feel impatient about that. I'd like this to happen in the shortest period of time that it could possibly happen, but I set myself back. Like I said, I had one good day, and I planned on doing it the next day, so I took a bite, and then the next day I didn't take a bite of the elephant at all, and then I'm back at square one again, eating and doing the things that aren't healthy for me, which contribute to me, I guess, feeling the way I feel sometimes.
And I sense some frustration too.
Very much so. A lot of frustration. And it's all based off of me not being able to do this. I thought once I got my degree that would make me feel great, and I felt great, and I feel like I accomplished something that I wanted to accomplish. But ultimately that's not satisfying me. It's not making me happy the way I thought I would be. There's still more that I have to do.
I heard you say, I feel like I won't be able, or that I can't do this. What is this?
This is feeling good about myself, like doing what I have to do to lose weight, so that I think I'm pleasing to my husband and my family, and so that other friends or co-workers or anybody that I come in contact with won't look at me as if I'm less than, because in society that the fat girl is not the one that everybody takes serious. They look at her as being less than, and I've been dealing with my weight since I was a kid. I pick up weight, lose weight, pick up weight, and I think I was at my best before my husband and I got married, because I wanted to fit into a certain size wedding gown, and I really worked and tried hard to look like what I thought a bride should look like, although I still wasn't completely happy, but that was the best that I had ever been. And like I said, after having 4 kids and being married for an extended period of years, I mean, I am where I am now, and I don't like where I am.
So I hear you talking a lot about what you're not, or what you don't meet up to. And Ruth, I just want you to, accomplishments will take a little bit of time. We just, what do you think would maybe, what does it look like to be less angry, less frustrated?
if I'm able to function and do the things that I want to do. Like I said, I have a substitute job waiting for me. They told me when I'm ready, the job is there for me so that I can get my feet wet and start doing what I feel that I'm called to do. But I feel that if I go into a classroom, the kids are going to look at me a certain way. I don't know what ages that I would have to substitute for, but the older kids I know are crueler, and I think I'd be devastated if the kids were making jokes behind my back about my weight or not taking me serious because of the way I look. Um, I have to do better for myself. I have to lose this weight. It's difficult to lose the weight, and sometimes I feel that that's where a lot of my problems come from, is that I don't feel good about myself and the way I look, and I want to be able to exercise consistently and not eat when I feel sad or when I feel panicky or when I have negative or bad feelings about myself. I don't want to run to the thing that is hurting me, which is food.
The one thing that we've talked about in the last session was we had talked about together, we came up with journaling when you mentioned that when you're at home, I heard you tell me that you eat when you get angry and when you feel frustrated, when you are hard on yourself. And you discussed with me the feelings that you have during those times, and that food comforts that. And we discussed journaling about your feelings about the binge eating. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, like this last instance when I failed to walk, I'm like, well, since I'm not gonna walk, might as well go and sit down and grab a snack. And I'll sit down and watch television. I may sit down and read, and sticking something in my mouth, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a glass of milk. And then if I'm watching television and I decide to read, then I may go and get something else to snack on, because it gives me a peaceful feeling. I feel calm if I'm sitting there watching TV with something to eat, or I feel calm if I'm sitting there reading and I have something to eat. And if I'm engaged in television or studying or anything at home where it's causing me to focus on something, then it's like I focus better when I have something to eat.
You focus better when you have something to eat.
Yes. Makes me feel comfortable when I'm watching television and I'm sticking something in my mouth. It's like television is better. It's almost like popcorn in a movie, but I'd rather have something more filling than popcorn in a movie. Or it's like when I'm sitting there reading, it's the same situation, popcorn in a movie type mentality, attitude. I need to have something there while I'm focusing on a book or focusing on something on television.
And then what?
And I'll eat until I'm full, and then ask myself, why did I eat all of that stuff? Because I feel miserable, and I may lay down and take a nap. Sometimes I can sleep through the nap. Sometimes I may have a nightmare. It just depends. Those are bad days. Some days it's not as bad. Some days I may not eat as much, but anything that I eat at this point, when I'm trying to lose weight is too much. I like to set portions for myself and stick to them based off of some of the television programs that I watched regarding weight loss, but I'm not consistent. And that makes me sad, and that makes me angry and frustrated because I can't do the things to make myself feel better.
So binge eating, comfort, punishment.
Comfort. It feels like comfort to me, but it's a comfort that hurts me. It's especially when I eat too much and I'm eating all day. And when the kids come home, when my husband comes home, I don't as much because I want them to pay attention to what I'm doing. It just feels better when I'm alone and I do it. Nobody's watching me. I think I feel guilty if somebody was watching me do it, but when no one's around, I have my own way.
So this anger that you've talked with me and expressed about yourself, we're talking about it's wrapped around the binge eating. That's where the anger is coming from for yourself, maybe.
That around the overeating and just not succeeding at what I need to do to lose the weight. I'm just angry with myself. I'm frustrated with myself. I'm disappointed in myself because I know that this is a problem. I recognize it as a problem and I don't have the control, the self-control to do this because it makes me feel good when I eat.
And when you were talking about walking, you mentioned how good it felt and that it motivated you, and it was pleasant feelings.
Yes.
And you're talking about eating more than you say as you're serving. That's what I thought I heard you say.
Yes.
And you're not just doing this in mealtime, you're doing this when you're having, a bad day. So there's pleasant feelings attached to the binge eating, and there's pleasant feelings attached to the walking instead, the getting up and walking instead. And I'm just trying to see if maybe, you recognize that walking had you in a pleasant way as well.
It did. And that's why I'm angry with myself because I did feel good about myself that day. And the next day I planned on doing it and I didn't. And I was angry with myself and I didn't go. So I ate something. And I ate, watched television and did a little studying and ate most of the day until my husband and kids came.
Yes. So.
I wish there was a shot you could give me to motivate me to get up and walk every day. I will try tomorrow.
I'm hearing you say that you would like me to give you an answer for your binge eating.
No, ma'am. I like some type of happy pill, quick shot, quick fix, so that I can do what I need to do to feel better about myself.
I think many of us would like just a really quick fix for the things that bother us. That's a human nature. If something is uncomfortable, we would like it to be comfortable. That's just human. Unfortunately, when we want to change a behavior, sometimes we have to decide for ourselves what we're willing to be in that moment to change what's making us uncomfortable.
Well, like I I said before, I'm open for any suggestion. I'd much prefer that shot or that pill. I don't know. Just see where we go from here.
If there were, you know, I guess we've established that there's no shot or pill
Yes,
that's gonna magically fix what we're talking about. If there were and it were healthy, I would be more than happy to oblige you with it. But you know, we know that it may take a little bit, you know, extra, maybe some time. You know, what do you think?
I think that I'm gonna try again to walk because that did make me feel good about myself. It gave me some energy. I just hate because it did make me feel good. I hate what I would feel like I did it when I didn't do it. I don't want to be disappointed or upset with myself, but I know that if something comes up or something happens, whereas I choose not to walk, or I fail to walk, or I just don't get it done, can I call you so that you can fuss at me, or can you get somebody?
So I hear you saying that you would like me to reprimand you the way that you reprimand you when you don't do what you say you're gonna do.
I'm kidding. I need someone, I guess, to push me that I don't know that's outside of my family, because I don't really want my family to know everything that I'm going through, because I'm afraid of how they'll look at me.
Ruth has everything to push Ruth.
Just I want to be able to push myself consistently. I did it twice, and I did that on my own. I recognize that, I understand that, but I just want to be consistent.
You just explained to me, let me get this straight. Let me see if I heard you right, because but what I heard was you gave an account for what it feels like when you don't go on your walk and you're consistent, and you gave an account for what it feels like when you do go for a walk and accomplish that one thing. And one was negative and one was positive, and that's the crossroads, you know, the walk, the not walk, and the crossroads. And in that very moment, what does Ruth think about that?
I think that because I want to be better, because I want to be healthy, because I want to look a certain way, because I don't want to be ashamed of myself, that I need to make the decision to get out and walk and do the things that make me feel good. And that did make me feel good, because I knew that I was getting some exercise in, and it was nice to be outside in the fresh air, and I didn't feel like eating as much when I got home, and I had energy. So it's just getting to that point to where I'm doing it consistently. And I know you mentioned the elephant one bite at a time, so I guess I have to do it one day at a time. It's just, I don't want to not feel like doing it, since I know that that's best for me.
And the one thing else I heard you say is that you want this to happen quickly.
Yes.
You want, you know, faster pace through it. And we continue with the walk. And I would like, if you would be okay, to continue with the journaling
Okay.
and work on how you feel
Okay.
when you do that. Continue that. You came in today with a lot of good stuff to talk about. Well, thank you very much for coming in to see me. That's great willingness to participate in your recovery. Can we see each other next week at this time?
Yes, we can. I look forward to it.
I look forward to it too. You have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you for your time.
Happy Easter.
Same to you, man.